Hello, good evening. Welcome to World Without Rule Law, classic old-time radio. Tonight, we're going to listen to an episode of Gunsmoke and an episode of Suspense Theater, something new. So, just going to try to prolong a minute or so, see if a few people come in. If not, we'll go ahead and view it. We'll go ahead and play it anyway. Let's see here. Get rid of this. All right. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. And looking at the chat, looks like there's only one viewer so far, which is all right. Again, I'm going to just wait a minute, see if anybody comes in. If not, we'll go ahead and start it. All right. The name of this episode is Carmen, and it is Gunsmoke, classic old-time radio. Thanks for tuning in.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with the U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke.
Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Chester. Chester. Chester, where are you?
Back here, Mr. Dillon.
Well, come on out.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon. As soon as I get my boots on.
Your boots on? What are you doing? Sleeping?
No, sir. Just washing my feet.
Now, I hope you didn't have any plans for tonight.
What did you want me to do, Mr. Dillon?
And I want you to stay on Front Street for a few hours while I go up and have a totty with Big Kate. But if you're going to be busy...
No, sir. I haven't got anything to do. I'd be proud to stay here. Just look at the dust in that street. Uh-oh. Mr. Dillon?
Huh?
Looks like Major Randall from Fort Dodge crossing over here.
Ah. Open the door for him, Chester. Major will like that.
Come in, Major Randall. Come in, sir.
Marshal Dillon.
Hello, Major.
Marshal, I want to talk to you about last Saturday's affair.
Well, Saturday was a pretty lively day around here, Major. Which affair do you mean?
You surprised me, Marshal. 2 United States Army soldiers were murdered while driving a supply wagon from here to Fort Dodge. A government payroll was stolen, and you seem to have taken no interest in the matter.
Well, now, Major, protecting the Army isn't it?
The Army can protect itself, Marshal. That isn't the point at all.
Well, if that's true, Major, how come there were only 2 soldiers carrying your payroll? You got plenty of men out there and plenty of guns. Where were they?
On maneuvers.
On maneuvers?
In my command, Marshal, troops remain in garrison as little as possible.
Well, then you were asking for trouble, Major, knowing that there was a payroll coming in.
The arrival of the payroll was secret. Even the 2 men carrying it didn't know what it was.
Well, the word must have got out somehow.
It seems to me, Major, like somebody out at the fort must have told.
There are no traitors in my command, Sheriff.
Major, I'm not a sheriff. You see, it's more
Never
like
mind. Marshal, I demand to know what you intend doing about this crime.
All right, I'll tell you, Major. Nothing.
What?
If I knew who did it, I'd make the arrest, but I don't, so there's nothing I can do.
I see. Well, Marshal, I regard this crime as a demonstration of your inability to control these Dodge City ruffians, and therefore I shall do it myself.
How's that, Major?
If no arrests are made in this matter, I'll give these bad men of yours a taste of martial law. We'll see how they like that.
I wouldn't try that, Major.
The streets will be patrolled 24 hours.
Now listen to me, Major. You don't know these men. Sure, there are some bad ones here, but most of them are just wild. Free and wild. But you run the army in here and they'll all fight.
Let them.
You've been stationed at Fort Dodge 2 months now, haven't you, Major? How long you been out on the frontier?
This is my first tour, thank heaven.
Well, then I'd advise you to take it easy. You get to know the ways of this
You
land.
may save your advice, Marshal,
There'll be trouble, Major, bad trouble.
if necessary. Nonetheless, the Army will take over within the week, or before, if there are any more of these crimes committed against it. Good day, gentlemen.
My. You think he'll do it, Mr. Dillon?
He made a mistake and he's a hot-headed fool, Chester. You try it.
Well, can't you stop him?
I don't know. Well, I'll be at Big Kate's later on. You can find me there if you need me.
All right, Mr. Dillon.
Hey, Marshal, come here.
What is it, Shiloh?
There's talk of Dodge being run by the Army, Marshal.
So?
So I don't like it. I and most of the men around here got out back in '65. We've had all the Army we need.
Yeah, I know. But maybe things will work out.
And if they don't work out, which side you fighting on, Dillon? Where do you stand?
I'm hired to keep the peace, Shiloh, not to answer fool questions.
You calling me a fool? Well, say it.
No, you're drunk, Shiloh.
You saying I'm drunk, Marshal? Is that it?
All right, Shiloh, I'll show you how drunk you are. Now, when he comes around, tell him I took his gun. He can get it back in the morning. And if he objects to that, tell him to look me up and I'll throw him in jail.
Who is it?
It's Matt, Kate.
Well, come on in. Well, sit down, Matt. I'll fix your toddy.
Thank you, Kate.
You could thank me best by buying a drink at the bar downstairs once in a while.
Well, why should I? I get better whiskey for free up here.
At least you're honest. Well, what's in the wind, Marshal Dillon? Did you just come up here because you're tired of sitting with your back to a wall?
You're right, Kate. The only place in Dodge where I can relax. That's probably just because you don't consider me worth killing.
How old am I, Matt?
Oh, what?
You heard me.
Well, I never thought much about it, Kate.
You sure didn't.
What are you getting at, anyway?
Just that if I was 20 years younger, you probably wouldn't come here at all.
No? And why?
Here's your toddy. Forget it.
Anything you say, Kate.
You know, Matt, you ought to get yourself a girl.
Oh, now, Kate, don't start
I mean
that,
it.
please.
Sure, somebody like, we'll say Connie Dell. There's a real pretty girl. A lot of fire,
Oh,
too.
you're sure a conniving old woman, Kate. You're just no good at all, you are.
You say worse than that. I told Connie she'd come up and have a drink with us the next time you showed.
Yeah, all right, Kate, if it pleases you.
It does. Connie! Now, there's fresh cigars in that box by your chair, Matt.
Well, now.
Had them brought in by the Santa Fe Railroad all the way from St. Louis. Evening, Miss Kate. Oh, come on in, Connie. I've corralled the marshal for you. Sit down, honey. I'll fix you a drink.
Don't let her talk bother you, Connie.
Well, I did ask to meet you, Marshal.
Oh? Why? Why'd you want to meet me?
Maybe just to see if you're really as cold and cruel as you seem downstairs.
And?
I can't tell yet. But I don't think you are.
Yeah, a profession like mine leaves its mark on a man.
There's always trouble of some kind, isn't there?
Most always.
Like this army business now.
Yeah.
Will it be bad, Marshal?
It could be.
Well, I'll figure it this way, Matt. The Major's in trouble, and he's trying to cover it up by threatening to take over Dodge.
Any more difficulties, and he will do it. Blasted green.
Say, Connie, your corporal been in?
He left a while ago.
Well, what's he say? How'd the soldiers feel about all this?
Well, I don't think they want to mix it with all these gunmen and buffalo hunters and the like.
Yeah, the Major will wish he were back on maneuvers if it starts.
Maneuvers? Well, that's where they've all been. No wonder it's been so quiet. But that corporal of yours, Connie, how come he didn't go out?
He's not my corporal, Miss Kate. He's just a lonely kid.
All right. Seems like he spends more time here than at the fort. How does he manage that?
Oh, they made him a clerk, a sort of bookkeeper. Time's pretty much his own.
Uh-huh. Well, he's lucky. He's got a good, safe job, too.
Suppose it is. Well, I'd better get back. Now that we've met, Marshal, you might stop and buy me a drink next time you're here.
I'm afraid not, Connie.
No?
You're too distracted. I might get careless and shot at.
I take that as a compliment, Marshal.
It is.
Good night, Marshal. Thanks, Miss Kate.
Don't you mention it, honey. Well, Matt?
You said her name's Connie Dell, Kate. Where's she from?
I never asked the girls anything.
Yeah, maybe, but you always find out. Now, come on, tell me.
Hayes City, last.
Uh-huh. What's the name of this corporal who's been sniffing around?
Bowers, Corporal Bowers. Oh, here, let me sweeten that toddy for you.
All right.
You put me in mind of a man I knew back in Wichita.
Yeah?
He was the slipperiest, side-windingest, stubbornest man I ever seen.
Even Mr. Dillon?
Everything quiet, Chester?
Yes, sir. But it's like everybody's holding his juice for the army if it comes. It's quiet and mean, Mr. Dillon. That's it, just quiet and mean.
Yeah. All right, Chester, you can go to bed. I'll stay around for a little while longer.
Yes, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, the first thing in the morning, I want you to go to the depot and have him send a message to the sheriff in Hayes City.
That'd be Mr. Hickok?
Yeah, ask Bill to send me all the information he can about a dance hall girl named Connie Dell. She left there about a month ago.
Connie Dell. I'll do it, Mr. Dillon.
And bring me the answer as soon as it comes in, huh?
Well, we ought to have it by tomorrow evening.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, good night, Chester.
Good night, Mr. Dillon. I got it from Mr. Hightower down at the railroad depot, Mr. Dillon. It come in at 7 o'clock.
Oh, good. Let me see it, Chester.
Here.
Connie Dell worked Golden Horn Bar here. Left about a month ago. A stranger called Billy Grounds. Nothing against girl, but believe Grounds a wild one. Has anybody shot you yet? Regards, Hickok.
What's up, Mr. Dillon?
Well, I don't know, Chester. I don't quite know. Look, you go over and ask Big Kate if she's heard anything about this Billy Grounds.
All right, Mr. Dillon.
Marshal,
What is it, Shiloh?
I want you to smell my gun. Here.
What?
And go on, smell it.
All right. It hasn't been fired. What are you worried about?
Well, I've been talking a lot lately, and a man was just shot out behind the Long Branch. A soldier.
Any witnesses to this? Well, who saw it?
I just heard the shot.
I want to know who killed this soldier.
Maybe nobody did see it, Marshal.
And maybe nobody cares much about it anyway. Just a soldier.
All right, you men, I'm going to tell you something. If I don't find who shot this man, the Army will move in here for sure.
Not the whole army, Marshal. They won't all move in.
Why not?
My shot's rifle can kill buffalo at 200 yards. I reckon it'll kill soldiers at 3. Hey, let me through here. Let me through. Let me through here. Hello, Marshal. Well, what do we got this time? Uh-oh. Soldier.
Yeah.
Well, he needs an autopsy just like anybody else. Where's the man that shot him? He get hurt, maybe?
Take a good look, Doc. He isn't even armed. This isn't a shooting. This is a murder.
Hey, you're right, Marshal. Oh, well, I'll get him up to my office. Here, now give me a hand, somebody.
You may have a better day tomorrow, Doc, but I hope I can spoil it for you. I'm riding out to Fort Dodge right now.
Well, Marshal, what brings you here?
Trouble, Major.
What sort of trouble?
Murder?
The soldier?
Yeah. Who? I don't know. Some private.
Why haven't I been informed of this?
It just happened about an hour ago.
In Dodge City, of course.
In Dodge City.
Have you arrested the murderer?
Nobody saw it happen.
I see. Well, Marshal, you leave me no choice. I shall have
Now,
to...
hold it, Major. I didn't ride out here just to carry news for you. I want something from you.
From me, Marshal?
Yeah. I want you to keep all soldiers out of Dodge for the next 48 hours. Put it off limits.
That's not exactly what I had in mind, Marshal.
But you're going to do it anyway.
What?
Now, listen, Major. Dodge City's an armed camp. It's full of men who fought Indians, who fought the war between the states, and who fought each other ever since they could spit. They'll fight you next. They'll make you hate it.
Marshal Dillon, I shall report your treasonable talk.
Report what you like, but stay out of Dodge. Now, I'll make you a deal, Major. Give me 48 hours and I'll find your killers. You better take it.
All right. But I want the criminals delivered here.
Sure, Major. And I might have to kill them to get them here. Hello, Doc. You drinking up the profit you made off of that soldier?
Hello, Marshal. The boy's name was Bone, according to the letter I found on him.
Uh-huh. Anything else?
Yes, dug a couple of slugs out of him. It's a funny thing, Marshal. I haven't happened on lead like that since '65.
What do you mean, Doc?
Well, I'd swear that boy was shot with a cavalry pistol.
I'll see you later, Doc.
Now, mind you can't prove it. Not exactly, but I would swear. Come in.
Hello, Kate. Did Chester see you?
He did.
Well?
Matt, I get my information through the girl. Some of it's true, some is bound to be just talk.
I'll weed it out.
Connor's been seen riding out at night toward the Arkansas down by Brandy Bend.
What for?
Well, I don't know. Could be this feller Billy Grounds.
Yeah.
His name's never been mentioned around here. My guess is he's never been in town.
Anything else?
One thing. Corporal Bowers and Connie went for a ride one night.
When?
Night before that payroll was robbed.
Figures. Where's Connie now?
Over at the Longhorn eating a steak.
It's kind of late for supper, isn't it?
She works late. Matt,
Yeah.
next girl I steer you into, I'll pull her fangs first.
No, thank you, Kate. I like them better this way. Good evening, Connie.
Well, this is a surprise, Marshal.
May I sit down?
Of course.
Thank you. You sure Corporal Bowers won't mind?
Don't be silly. Anyway, he's away at the fort.
Huh? What time do you leave, Connie?
I don't know, about 7, I think. Why?
Anyone with him?
Yeah, Private Bone. Marshal, you think Bauer shot him, is that it?
You know any reason why he would, Connie?
They were friends. They worked together in the bookkeeping office.
I see. Tell me, Connie, Bauer say much about his job there? Or what he does and all?
No, Marshal, he never talked about it.
Handled expenses for supplies and the like? Figured out the payroll?
I don't know.
Bauer would be in a good spot to know when to expect the payroll money in, wouldn't he? Even when it was kept a secret?
You'd have to ask him, Marshal. I don't know anything about the Army. But this isn't why you found me here, is it?
Of course not, Connie. I'm sorry. Hey, you look real pretty tonight.
Why, thank you, Marshal. You really mean it?
Sure. Sure I do.
I have to work late tonight, but I can get off tomorrow evening. Marshal, would you go for a ride with me? There'll be a moon.
Where would we ride to, Connie?
I don't know. Anywhere, maybe along the Arkansas. Oh, I know. Let's ride down toward Brandy Bend.
All right, Connie. We ride down to Brandy Bend.
You're all dressed up, Mr. Dillon. You going somewhere?
Yeah, after supper I am, Chester. Got me an engagement. Going riding with Connie Dell in the moonlight along the river.
Is she a nice girl, Mr. Dillon?
All girls are nice, Chester. Some fall in with bad company, that's all.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dillon?
Yeah,
Who doesn't fall in with?
me.
Oh, now, Mr. Dillon, that's not so.
Then who'd you think, Chester? Come on, tell me.
Billy Grounds?
You don't give me much credit for romance, Chester.
No, sir.
Well, don't look so worried about it.
I was thinking, would you like me to follow you tonight, Indian style?
Thanks, Chester, but it wouldn't help. You see, I'm riding into an ambush. It'll be over fast. Real fast.
Well, all right, Mr. Dillon, if that's the way you want it.
That's the way it's got to be. And as soon as I leave, I want you to ride out to Fort Dodge and see the major.
Yes, sir. What about...
Tell him to arrest Corporal Bowers for the murder of Private Bone. I think Bone found out where the leak about that payroll money came from, and Bowers had to shut him up.
The major won't like that, will he?
Well, tell him I'll prove it. And anyway, I think Bowers will confess fast enough when the time comes.
When'll that be, Mr. Dillon?
When I get back to town with Billy Grounds.
What about the girl?
Well, it's like I told you, Chester. Nice girl, bad company.
You know, I had me a girl once.
Huh? Well, you never told me about that, Chester. What happened?
It was over in Abilene. I gave her my money to go to St. Louis and buy some wedding clothes. She wanted that.
So?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Dillon. I guess she just liked it there in St. Louis.
I'm going down the street, Chester. You better get started for the fort soon.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
Evening, Marshal.
Hello, Shiloh.
I feel a little drunk coming on, Marshal.
Check your guns back there with Chester.
What if the Army comes tonight? I'll need my gun.
And stay sober.
But if the Army doesn't come, I'll have stayed sober for nothing.
Every man's got his problem, Shiloh. But if I see you drunk and wearing your gun, you'll wake up broken-hearted in jail tomorrow.
Tonight I'm going to get drunk enough to draw on you, Marshal.
That so, Shiloh? And some night you're going to die.
Marshal?
Oh, hello, Connie.
I got off a little early. Shall we go now?
Anytime.
I keep my horse at the National. I'll meet you at the edge of town.
Oh? You ashamed to be seen with me?
Oh, no, Marshal. But, well, you know how people talk.
Sure, Connie. I'll wait for you just down the trail.
I'll hurry.
There we come pretty fast, Connie. You want to get on for a minute?
I'm all right.
All right. We'll let the horses blow a little and then move on, huh? You nervous, Connie?
No. Why?
Well, then sit down and relax.
All right. This better?
Yeah. Sure is a nice night.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You're not even looking at it, Connie. Is something on your mind?
No, of course not. Why should there be?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's nothing, Marshal, really.
Connie, let me ask you something. You ever see a man killed?
What? Why'd you say that?
Well, did you?
Yes. Once in the saloon.
Huh. Tell me, do you have a fair chance?
Yeah, he even drew first.
Then you never saw a man shot in the back or ambushed.
What do you mean, Marshal?
I think it sort of goes against your grain, Connie, the idea of a man being killed without a fair chance.
I get it, Marshal. All right. Go ahead.
Down by the river near Brandy Bend, Billy Grounds is waiting to shoot me in the back.
Then why did you come, Marshal?
It's my job.
I suppose you know about everything.
I think so.
What are you going to do?
Connie, unless I made a mistake about you, I think you're going to let me have a fair chance at him. Somehow.
Why should I? What does it mean to me?
I don't know, Connie. I don't know. But you think about it. You think about it all the way to Brandy Bend. Now, come on, let's ride. Make a nice camp down here. Plenty of wood. Get your own water right out of the Arkansas. Don't you think, Connie? A man could hide out for a long time down here.
Marshal.
You could be safe here, even while the Army was trying to move into Dodge. A lot of men were being killed back there. It's peaceful here. Quiet.
Marshal, I can't do it.
Tell me, Connie.
That big cottonwood up ahead. On the left.
All right. Keep moving. When we get there, I'm going to ride fast. I'll hang onto the offside of my horse for cover. When I start, you turn around. Get back out of gunfire. Yeah, it sure is pretty down here, Connie. You know, maybe someday we can come down and go fishing, huh? That river's full of catfish. Did you ever eat a catfish dinner? Oh, they can be mighty good when they're small enough. Back, Connie. Connie? Connie? Yeah, he's dead, Connie.
I'm all right, Marshal.
I'm sorry about this, Connie. I'm sorry I had to do it.
He killed your horse. I'll show you where his is. And the money. Then you can take me back to Dodge. Jail.
All right, Connie. But you won't be in jail for long. You have my word. Not for long.
Let's go, Marshal.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was especially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in tonight's cast were Michael Ann Barrett and Jeanette Nolan, with Harry Bartell and Don Diamond. Parley Bear is Chester, and Howard McNear is Doc. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke.
All right. That was Gunsmoke. Now, let's see here. I'm going to play an episode of Suspense Theater. And this is one called The Burning Court. All right. Enjoy it.
Suspense. Stories from the world's great literature of pure excitement. A new series frankly dedicated to your horrification and entertainment. Week by week, from the pick of new material, from the pages of best-selling novels, from the theater of Broadway and London, the sound stages of Hollywood, will parade the most remarkable figures ever known. CBS gives you Suspense. Tonight's presentation is one of the finest of the contemporary stories of mystery and terror. John Dixon Carr's famous novel, The Burning Court.
A glass of sherry by the fireside of a beautiful suburban home. What could be more comforting? You're an admirable host, Mr. Depard, and it's really a shame our first meeting is under such a cloud. It's also a shame I have so little time to tell you which one of your guests here murdered your uncle last week. Now, let's see now. I believe we're all here. Your wife, your friend, Mr. Stevens, Captain Brennan.
Yes, and incidentally yourself. Just who did you say you were?
Well, no wonder you've had so much difficulty with the case, Captain. My name is Cross, Gordon Cross, the writer. As a matter of fact, it's because of my just completed book, Poisoning Throughout the Ages, that I happen to be here now. And Ted Stevens there happens to be a member of the firm which publishes my work. I'd never seen him until tonight, but I've been told what happened. This afternoon, he began reading my manuscript for the first time on the train. The commuter's train, which every afternoon deposits him safely and soundly here in Crispin. I imagine he was halfway home by the time he finished the first chapter. Then he turned a page. Attached to the following leaf was a picture. And looking at it, the young man stiffened suddenly and all but cried out his shock. It was a picture of a young woman, and under it had been printed, famous poisoner Marie Dobré, 1676. Ted Stevens was looking at a picture of his own wife. Imagine Imagine his 25-year-old wife in 17th century costume. The face, the features, even a wistfulness of expression were identical. Even the name, Dobré, was his wife's maiden name. But no, that was ridiculous. This woman in the picture was, well, one of his wife's ancestors. Yes, that was it. Simply an amazing family resemblance. Marie would be waiting for him at the station, and he'd have to tell her about it. He wondered why, however, she'd never told him about. Oh, well, but you don't discuss such an ancestor, do you? Ted Stevens glanced down at the chapter to which the picture had been attached. It was entitled, The Affair of the Non-Dead Woman.
Hello, Ted.
Stevens was almost jolted from his seat. It was Dr. Weldon, professor of English at the college, an old friend of his. Quickly, he thrust the picture beneath the manuscript and moved over.
Hi, I didn't see you, Doc. Oh, here, have a seat. Oh, I thought maybe you were giving me the, what do they call it? The brush off? Oh, no, say, as a matter of fact, Doc, you're the one man I do want to see. Yeah? Very flattering. Remember those discussions we used to have about murders? Better than bridge anytime. Well, I got the idea that you made sort of a hobby out of the old cases, the historical ones. Well, I've studied quite a number of them, yes. Ever hear of a woman named Marie Dobré? Marie Dobré? Marie Dobré. Oh, yes. That was her maiden name, of course. One of the finest specialists in arsenic poisoning you could ever hope to find. Oh, we're almost at our station, Ted. Let's get to the door. Yes, a real charmer Marie was. Must have disposed of 100 husbands, lovers, suitors, and just plain friends before she was caught. What happened to her, Doc? She was beheaded and burned.
Crispin!
Oh, absurd, laughable. Ted Stevens kept saying this to himself, and yet what he knew was a foolish dread followed him straight through the small suburban station and clung to him as he reached the street. And there in the roadster was Marie, leaning toward him a little to hold the door open and smiling at him.
Oh, Ted, what on earth are you staring at?
That streetlight shining on your hair, I like that.
Oh, you're tight. Come on, get in the car.
Then, like a wisp of smoke, it was gone. The whole ridiculous fear, the delusion. When at home, Marie brought the cocktails into the living room. The logs were burning brightly in the fireplace, throwing a soft, dancing glow upon a room that was darkening with dusk. To you, Marie.
And to you, dear.
As Stevens placed his glass down, he noticed the manuscript of my book. It was there on the table, right where he placed it when he first came in. Deliberately, he turned from it, and then turned back. The manuscript had been moved. Only an inch or so, but it had been moved. Keeping his back to his wife, he thumbed through that early chapter and discovered, just as he knew he would, that the photograph was gone. For a long moment, he thought of what to do. Then slowly, he turned around.
This book by Cross I brought home.
Yes?
There was a story of a poisoner in it. Rather funny. Her name happens to be the same as yours. Oh, your maiden name, that is.
Oh, that is odd, isn't it?
Darling, was she a relative of yours?
Why, Ted, you're serious.
In a way, yes. Oh, I don't mean it's really important. It's just that, well, when you run across a person who's a dead ringer for your own wife and who lived 300 years ago and was a top-flight poisoner, well, you like to hear about it, that's all.
What on earth are you talking about?
Darling, be honest with me. Didn't you look at this manuscript when I was out of the room?
No.
You didn't take out a picture of a poisoner named Marie Dobré?
I most certainly did not. Oh, Ted, what is this all about? What are you getting at?
Oh, just this. Somebody took that picture out of that manuscript since I'd been home. Now, who's that? Well, I'll take a look. But I don't feel like... Why, it's Mark Lepard.
Mark? Ted, wait a second.
Yes?
Ted, whatever it is he wants, promise you won't do it.
Promise I won't do
I
it?
mean, promise you won't get yourself involved. Please, Ted, don't go out tonight.
Say, what in the world is... Well, anyway, we can't let him stay outside. Mark, how are you? Come on in.
Thanks, Ted.
Just thinking about giving you a call later.
Oh, let me have your hat.
Oh, thanks. Marie, I hope you'll excuse me for popping in like this, but, well, I wanted to talk to Ted. It's rather important.
Oh, I don't mind at all.
Come on, Mark. We'll step into the library. Do you mind, dear?
Of course not, Ted. I'll be making the sandwiches for her.
Oh, grab that chair in the corner, Mark. Well, let's hear it.
What's the trouble? Ted, my Uncle Miles was murdered.
Murdered?
Oh, the talk hasn't reached you yet, but it's already started. Nothing definite, of course, just that there was something wrong about Uncle Miles' death.
But I don't... Mark, are you sure of this? You know he was murdered?
I don't know. Of course I don't. I just don't see how it could be any other way. Uncle Miles, you know, had been sick for quite a while, but last Saturday he seemed so much better that Miss Corbett, that was his nurse, decided to take the day off. And, oh, you know all this. You and Marie were over that afternoon. Anyway, Lucy and I went to the club that night, to that masquerade party, and we left the old boy completely alone. I've cursed myself 1,000 times since.
But what about your housekeeper, Mrs., what's her name? Henderson. Wasn't she around?
Oh, sure. In that little house out in back. We told her to look in now and then, but, well, that wasn't good enough. It was after midnight when Lucy and I got back. Uncle Miles was dying. Ted, it looked exactly like one of his regular attacks, but then later, after he was gone, I happened to glance under the chest of drawers in his room. There was a small silver cup under there, almost drained, and Uncle Miles' cat. The cat was still warm, but quite dead.
Oh.
I managed to get the cat out of the house and buried without anyone seeing me. Next day, I had the contents of the cup analyzed.
It was poison?
Yes. Arsenic.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Help me open the crypt. What? I want to have a private autopsy performed. Help me get Uncle Miles' body out of that vault. Oh, I know it's a tough job. The thing is sealed solid, but we can do it.
You mean without the police knowing about it?
Without anybody knowing about it. Mrs. Henderson's visiting her sister, and I managed to send Lucy over to the club.
You must be crazy. You're playing with dynamite, Mark. This is something you've got to tell the police now.
I can't take that chance.
But they'll have to know sometime. You're only
I've
delaying...
got to know first, I tell you. You don't understand, Ted. There was somebody in Uncle Miles' room that night, handing him something in a silver cup. Mrs. Henderson was on the porch by the window. She saw her.
She saw her?
Ted. She thinks it was my wife.
Oh, Lucy.
It doesn't mean anything to Mrs. Henderson yet, because she doesn't suspect anything, but, well, Ted, you've got to see why I've got to be sure, why I've got to know how Uncle Miles died. Because it wasn't Lucy, Ted. I know it wasn't.
Of course not, Mark. She had an alibi. Well, she was with you at the club, wasn't she?
Yes. Except for half an hour.
I see.
You'll help me, won't you, Ted?
When do we start?
As soon as you can make it.
Okay. Come on now. I'll get your hat. You trot on ahead, and I'll come over as soon as I can see Marie.
But you're not going to tell her about this.
Of course not. I'll think of something. Don't you worry about it.
No, thanks, Ted. Thanks a lot.
Marie.
I'm coming.
Darling, Mark asked me to...
I know, Ted. Here, you better take these sandwiches with you. You'll be hungry.
But you knew I was going out?
Yes, I knew.
You listened to us?
I couldn't help it, Ted. I had an idea what Mark's visit was about. The talk about his uncle's death. There's a lot of gossip about it in the village. That's why I tried to tell you. Why I didn't want you to get mixed up in it. But it's too late now, isn't it? I mean, you're going. I can tell by the way you look. Ted, wait a second. There's just one thing I want to tell you before you leave. And that is that no matter what happens, no matter what you find or think or believe, I love you. You'll remember that, won't you?
I'll remember you said so, Marie.
By the light of a dim kerosene lantern, Mark and Ted Stevens pounded their way through the thick shelf of rock that covered the Depar's ancestral tomb, pried open the great slab of stone which lay across the subterranean door, and then at last descended to the dank, ink-black chamber. They found the coffin. They dragged it from its crypt and placed it on the cold stone floor. They unclamped the lid and opened it.
Mark! It's empty. What? That's impossible. It can't be. But it is, Mark. You know what this means? That body wasn't in this coffin when it was placed here. I'll swear it was, Ted. From the time that coffin was closed on Uncle Miles, somebody, the undertaker or Lucy or me, somebody was with it until it was buried. And the crypt was sealed right after. Then somebody beat us to it. Somebody's broken in here ahead of us. Broken in? Listen, Ted. Lucy and I have hardly left the house since the funeral. Do you think anybody could break in here, smash through that stone and cement without our seeing them or without our hearing them? Well. What?
Well, you might as well come on out then.
But who was that?
Me, Mr. Depard, up here. My name's Captain Brennan. I'm from the office of the Commissioner of Police. Like to talk to you if you don't mind, Mr. Depard. Here, follow my flashlight up.
But I don't understand. How did you know about this?
By listening, mainly. You mind if we go up to your house, Mr. Depard?
Why, no. Not at all.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Freddie.
Look here, Captain.
Freddie, this is Mr. Depard, Lieutenant Gray.
Glad to know you, Mr. Depard.
And Mr. Ted Stevens, isn't it?
Well, how did you know my name?
Very simple. I got the names of everybody who was here at the Depards the day the old man died. You and your wife were included. Oh, here we are.
But I don't... Captain, who gave you those names?
Why, your housekeeper, of course.
Mrs. Henderson?
You didn't think Mrs. Henderson saw the dead cat, did you, Mr. Depard? But she did. She also saw you bury it. And we've been interested in the case ever since. Well, nice place you have here, Mr. Depard. Now, let's see. According to Mrs. Henderson, your wife was wearing some kind of a masquerade costume that night. What kind of a thing was it?
Well, it was there, you can see it. It was copied from the dress in that old painting over there.
Oh, yes. Funny, where's the woman's face?
It's always been that way, long as I can remember. Somebody must have thrown acid on it or something. Can't blame them much. She was a poisoner.
A poisoner?
Yes. The story goes that one of my ancestors was responsible for her execution. Marie Dobray, her name was.
Oh, yes. I have read about her. Learned all the poison tricks from one of her lovers, guy by the name of Godin Secroix. Oh, yes, Mr. Stevens. We cops read now and then.
Did you say Godin Secroix?
That's French. We call it cross. Absolutely no limit to a cop's education, is there? But to get back to your wife, Mr. Depard, she was dressed like the famous Marie. Now, when Mrs. Henderson looked through that window...
Just a minute, Captain. Mrs. Henderson can't prove she saw a thing, and you know it.
What do you mean?
I mean you haven't any right to insinuate that my wife was in that room.
Well, who's insinuating? I'm trying to say that Mrs. Henderson, after thinking it over, realized that she was tricked by the costume. The woman she saw in the funny clothes, handing the cup of poison to your uncle, wasn't your wife at all.
What?
Because your wife is an unusually tall young woman. And the one Mrs. Henderson saw was fully half a head shorter. More on the order, let's say, of Mr. Stevens' wife.
My wife? Captain, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. Why, what's the matter, Mr. Stevens? You're trembling like a leaf. Tell me now, just for fun, where was Mrs. Stevens that night?
She was home with me.
The whole evening?
Certainly.
You retired early?
Yes, we both did.
You, I suppose, were sound asleep by midnight.
Yes, I was.
Then how do you know where your wife was?
Well,
Look here, Stevens. She had to have a costume that would match Mrs. Depard's. How did she manage that? Where did she get it?
Well, she never had one. She never had a dress like that.
And what about her motive? Why did she poison him?
I don't know.
For money, certainly. Then what was it? Hate? Did she hate Miles Depard?
Yes, she did. No. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, I tell you.
Brown? Yes, Freddie?
I phoned and got hold of Mrs. Depard, the nurse, all right. That's Mrs. Stevens, the preacher. Her phone won't answer.
Okay, have her picked up.
Stevens, come back here. I'm going to get my wife. Stop it, Brennan. Let go. Marie! Marie, where are you? It's Ted. Marie, what have you done? Marie.
Oh, good evening.
Who are you?
My name is Cross. Go down Cross.
Cross? Where's my wife? What have you done to her? You fiend, what have you done to my wife?
Why, nothing at all, young man. Here, sit down.
You're lying. Something's happened to her. The police just phoned. There wasn't an answer. Why are you here?
Why am I here? Well, because your wife, reading my chapter on the Dubrays, realized I knew more about the family than even she did. Because she found my phone number on the front cover of the manuscript. And because I know an exceptional case when I hear one. Does that answer your question?
No, and you know it doesn't. Can't you see I've got to know whether...
Yeah, I see. Whether your wife is that Marie Dobray, who was burnt by order of the High Tribunal for all poison cases, the burning court of France, witchcraft, black magic, the world across the threshold. You're quite sure, no doubt, also that I'm Gaudin St. Croix, who first wooed her. No, my boy. No, my real name happens to be, of all things, Tom Simpson. Most unsuitable for a distinguished writing career. And Marie Dobray is no more your wife's real name than mine is Gaudin Cross.
What?
Your esteemed wife was an adopted child, Mr. Stevens, adopted by people in Canada named Dobray, remote members of the real family of poisoners.
I can't believe it. Why didn't she tell me?
Why? Because until I told her half an hour ago, she didn't know it herself. You see, in the course of my research on the family, I found out about it. And in the course of talking with your wife, I found out something else. How for years she was haunted by the fear that she might be a poisoner by inheritance, by blood. And you can see, can't you, why she never talked about it, her past to you?
Yes.
And yet, Mr. Stevens, you had all but made her forget that past. You. And that's why she was willing to lie, to steal a picture, do anything, in order to hold you to her.
Yes, I see that now.
You know, young man, I rather think she loves you. But as you will see, though, she comes only when I call her. Mrs. Stevens?
You mean she's...
Yes, Mr. Cross.
Marie, it's you. You're all right?
Oh, yes, dear. We're both all right now, and nothing can change it, ever.
Marie, listen.
Don't say Marie, dear. Say Maggie.
Maggie?
Oh, that's my name, my real name. Maggie McTavish. And it's a lovely name, dear. The most beautiful, gorgeous...
Darling, please. You don't understand. The police, they think you had something to do with Miles' death.
They think I did.
So, now, Mr. Stevens, before we go back to the Depas, don't you think you'd better tell me everything that's been said and done up to date? Having just saved your wife's soul from the burning court, now I'll wrest her body from the electric chair. Yes, Mr. Depas, truly excellent sherry. Don't you think so, Miss Corbett?
Yes, it's very nice.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I happen to be here. So let us consider first that supernatural hocus pocus in the crypt. That body that walked out of the sealed tomb. That body that never was in the tomb.
Never was in the tomb?
No, Mr. Depas. The murderer knew that very soon Mrs. Henderson's story would bring about an investigation. He had to get rid of the well-known corpus delicti.
Yes, but who could have kept the body out of the tomb?
Who, Mr. Depas? Why, you, sir.
What? I don't understand.
Well, it's very simple. You had the opportunity. I believe you said yourself you were alone with the body before the burial. And you had the strength. I dare say you carried it down to the furnace, where it's now probably nothing but ashes.
Ridiculous. Why would he spend an hour smashing into a crypt for a body he knew wasn't there?
Why, Captain? To impress Mr. Stevens, his witness. And also apparently you.
Oh, that's perfectly fantastic.
Fantastic. Oh, no, Lucy. Just comic. And I suppose, Mr. Cross, that I also put on a woman's masquerade costume, went into my uncle's room and handed him a nice cup of arsenic.
No. That had to be done by a woman. Your accomplice, as matter of fact. Oh, now, come. You mustn't all look at Mrs. Depas, because mark Depas' one noble act. was his frantic effort to prevent his wife from being charged with the crime. A crime which he and Nurse Myra Corbett committed.
Myra Corbett?
Why, you...
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Stevens, this quiet little lady beside me.
Why would I do such a thing?
Money, Miss Corbett. A cutout of Mark DePauw's inheritance. Payments for services rendered.
That's an absolute lie, Cross.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Brennan never bothered to check Miss Corbett's whereabouts on the night of the murder. Why even think of the nurse? She was the custodian of the old man's health.
Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
And yet who but a nurse could so naturally offer the old man a cup? A cup he was sure contained medicine.
You're making it up. The whole thing. You're just
And
making
who
it up.
but Miss Corbett, living right here in this house, would know what kind of masquerade dress she must copy, would know when Mrs. Henderson would pass the window that night, pass and see her, and accept her, she hoped, for Lucy DePauw.
No, that's not true.
Oh, yes,
do
Miss
it.
Corbett. Yes,
I
Miss
didn't
Corbett,
do
that
it.
dress
I tell
was the
you,
touch
I
that wrecked you. That was your own idea, wasn't it? Not Mark's. You weren't content with a mere murderer's share of the profits. You wanted a wife's share, half of the whole estate. You wanted Lucy DePauw convicted and out of the way for good. Well, I give you a toast, Miss Corbett, with Mr. DePauw's excellent sherry. To a particularly ruthless poisoner. And yet, you know, on the whole, I'm rather partial to female poisoners. Why, only tonight, I...
Here, let me get to him. Mr. Cook, what's the matter, Brennan?
Man's dead. Dead? And from cyanide, if I know anything. Cyanide from that glass of sherry. Cyanide that a nurse could get quite easily. That glass was right beside you, Miss Corbett, and nobody else was near it. Too bad he didn't drink it as soon as you hoped. A second ago, we had nobody to use against you. But we have now, Miss Corbett. We have now. And I arrest you for the murder of Goddamn Cross.
Months ago that the prominent author was murdered, and tonight Myra Corbett pays with her life for that crime. The former nurse, at first protesting her innocence, in recent
Yes, I'm in here, dear. Oh.
I thought you might... What did you cut it off for?
Huh? What do you mean?
The radio.
Oh. Oh, yeah, well, I thought you wanted to talk.
Poor Ted. Don't you think I know you better than that? What was on the radio?
Well, there wasn't... Okay. It was about Myra Corbett. She goes to the chair tonight.
Oh.
I didn't think you wanted to be reminded.
I don't really. But making such an effort to hide it only keeps it alive, doesn't it? All right, darling. Now what I came in to ask, if you wanted a cocktail before dinner.
The largest one you've got.
Fine, I'll get out the ice cube.
I know. If I'll fix up the fire. Okay, Maria. A deal. Where are some papers to start it?
Right there by the bookcase. And the name's not Marie. It's Maggie. Because, darling, Marie is dead and gone forever.
Oh, no, Marie. We're never dead. Neither of us. It was your hand that touched that glass. I know that now. And I could return the favor. But instead, I shall ask that you dispatch your husband. This one, like all the others. Now, just a little bit of poison in the drink, Marie. Any kind of a drink.
What kind, Ted? What kind of a cocktail shall we have?
Oh, any kind, darling. Any kind at all.
You've just heard The Burning Court from John Dixon Carr's famous novel, the first in Columbia's new series of outstanding classics and chills by world-famous authors.
Tonight's play, ladies and gentlemen, has one rather special significance we think you'd like to know about. As you perhaps have heard, every fine comedian is said to cherish a secret desire to do an abrupt about-face. He pines for the part of a blackguard. Well, tonight you witness the fulfillment of one such desire. The role of that literary and quite infamous diehard, Gordon Cross, was portrayed by none other than Hollywood's expert provoker of laughs, Charlie Ruggles, here in New York for the world premiere of his latest screen success, Friendly Enemies. The role of Marie, well, that was enacted by a young lady who long ago won national acclaim as one of Broadway's most accomplished dramatic actresses, Miss Julie Hayden. Thank you, Charlie Ruggles and Miss Julie Hayden, for your splendid performances. The play tonight, as all plays in this series, was produced and directed by Charles Vander, written by Harold Metford, and scored by Bernard Herrmann. Next week, we bring you an intensely exciting and...
All right. That was Suspense Theater. The name of that one was The Burning Court. And before that, we heard Gunsmoke. And the episode title of Gunsmoke was Carmen. So I think that'll just about wrap it up for tonight. So let's catch up on the chat here. Be prepared. Thank you. You're welcome. Be prepared. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming in. Chris, thanks for coming in as well. Wes, thanks for joining us. Yeah, I like the old dramatic music. Dun, dun, dun. So, yeah, I'm going to see, don't get very many viewers or even very many views after, but it seems like I got a couple people that kind of enjoy it. So I think I'm going to try to do them once a week. I've been doing them different times to try to find a time that's better than others for people, but it all seems to be pretty much the same. So gonna try to get some consistency to them. If you guys have any specific things that you like or want to hear, I got a lot of old stuff I can get. Gunsmoke, Lone Ranger, Dragnet. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You don't get the notifications, you know? I don't know. Like, I did it yesterday too. I went in the stream and set it up a couple hours in advance, and it didn't seem like it was sending them. But today I thought it was. But I don't know. And it could be something on my end that I'm doing wrong. What I do is I set up a new event and I put the time. I try to do it a couple hours before. So, I'll try to, when I do it next time, I'll try to make sure, see if there's anything I can do to make sure that it goes through. I don't really know what I'm doing, so it could be on my end, like I said. But if I try to get a consistent time, then maybe it'll be the same every week anyway. But Wes is saying you missed the ending? Huh. Were you away from the computer, Wes, or did it cut out on you? That's odd. B saying he did get notified. So, yeah, I don't know. YouTube's kind of squirrely with that. I have people that I subscribe to that the bell is clicked, and I don't always get the notifications either. They don't really know what's going on there. Wes, I don't know why it cut out. If it cut out on you, maybe you stepped away, but it's gonna, as soon as I end the stream, it'll go to video anyway, so you could always go back and catch the end. But yeah. So thanks again, everybody, for coming in, and appreciate it. Appreciate your support by watching. And Wes had to run outside. All right. Yeah, so it'll be posted. I guess it takes a couple minutes after the stream ends, and it posts, so you can go back and catch the end if you want to. I don't think anybody was in here when I played the first half, the Gunsmoke. So there's that also, if you're interested in that. But yeah, thanks, Chris. You're welcome, and thank you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for listening. God bless. God bless you too. Be prepared. Thank you too for coming in, Wes. Thanks. You're welcome, sir. And you all have a good night. God bless. Take care, and hopefully we'll catch you next time.